Hi everyone, this is Ann. We're going to try this again. I gave this software a good little tongue lashing, so it better not start to act wonky on me. So the topic of this one is rhinestone files from a silhouette store. So I'm going to click over on the store and show you how to find them, and then I'll come back to my library because I'm a rhinestoner fanatic, so I own probably 99% of them. So let me click to the store. And I think that Facebook is partially responsible for this lag time by going live. Because when I'm not live, everything flows pretty fast. Okay, so this is the Silhouette store, and you can type in whatever you're looking for, sports rhinestones or whatever, and sort through it. But my tip to you is to come over and click on filters and select cut types and then say rhinestone. And you're going to then see all of the rhinestone images in it. And I'm if I select hide what I own, you wouldn't see anything in here. But what I want to show you is once you find, let's see, I need something with a design. It might let me show what I have bought. So let's see. I'm gonna click on this cupcake and see, will it? Yes, it does. So when you find what you want or you're interested in, double click it, not to necessarily add it to your cart, but you want to read in the description because it's telling you the size of the rhinestone design, because you cannot resize it. I mean, you can once you learn how, and I might get around to teaching you all that, but keep in your mind, I cannot resize it. So this is the size that I need. And it's telling you that it will use 222 10SS size stones and 12 16SS size stones and 19 20SS size stones. And I would say that this gold is going to be those huge 20, and the green or the red is probably the 16 SS stones in there, but it lets you know this design has multiple size stones in it. And so that's important. And you can see in this part of the cupcake, some of them are 10s. These look like they are 16. I didn't see where they were using any 6 at all, but this lets you know. So let's see, it's called Rhinestone Holly Cupcake. So I'll now go over to my library, and I'm pretty sure that I have it in rhinestones. And I'm just trying to expand the library some. And these are, I think, a mixture. Yes, these are all from the Rhinestone store. If this is your first time or you're new to come into your library, everything that is at your email and below is what's stored on the cloud. And because I have business edition, it gives me 5 gigabytes of space, and it's telling me what I've used so far. Everything that is above the email are your user designs that you've created, and I've made these subfolders, and they're very easy to make. You just need to click on library wherever you want, right click on library and say new folder, name it what you want it to be. I guess I'll say cards, and hit enter, and now you have that, and you can start adding what you want to go in there. And on top of that, you can right click and create yet another subfolder, and I'll say Christmas. So you can do that. You don't like it, right click on it and delete the folder. So that's how I got all of these down here. So anyway, let me go back. It was something cupcake. So I could go up here to search, but I've not figured out how to get it just to search what I'm in. It wants to search all of my designs. So I'm going to have to go down to the R's. I think the word rhinestone, yes, was in it. So somewhere in here, I should be coming up with that cupcake. Probably right. Rhinestone cherry cupcake. Anybody see it? I don't see it, and I think that that's what the name of the darn thing was. But this looks like it's multiple size stones, and that's what I wanted to show you. Now I've looked at it here. Let me double click it so it'll open up. And when I highlight it, let me go over to the rhinestone feature to see what it tells me. And it does not tell me. I was hoping it would give me the countdown here. And that's a shame. They should let you know down here how many stones of what sizes. But anyway, we can look at this and tell all of these outlined around it are going to be 10 SS stones. And these larger ones in here, I don't know if they're 16 or if they're going to be 20 SS stones. But you cannot resize it. So when you buy it, know that you're looking for something that's about 6 inches tall and almost 5 inches across. And I'm going to see, it lets me ungroup it, but that really wasn't what I wanted to do, because rhinestones are unlike vinyl in that I can't just go in here and find which ones I want to color, because the circles are so close together. So it almost forces you to have that same color. Let me move my rhinestone panel over here so that it stays on top. So if I made a cupcake pink, then all of mine are pink, unless I hold the shift key down and deselect the bigger ones, and that is by just clicking on them to say, let me deselect you. And I'm just holding the shift key down while I'm doing that. And this is, I guess, another way for you to cut this in 2 patterns. So I deselected it. I still want to keep everything else. So while everything else is selected, I'm going to right click and group it. So now I can move it out of the way, and I can come here and select all of these and group them, and maybe I'll give them this blue color. So now come back and position them where I want them to be. When you are going to cut a rhinestone project, it's the same as cutting regular vinyl, except you use a material called sticky flock. And in the group, there are, if you search the word sticky, S-T-I-C-K-Y, or flock, F-L-O-C-K, you'll find some YouTube videos that I've shared in the group for you to kind of look at it to go a step further. But when you cut it, you can cut this all as one piece, or you can cut it as 2 separate pieces by cutting these first on your sticky flock so that you can brush these larger stones in. And then when it finished cutting, then you'll move this onto the mat, and you'll cut it on the sticky flock. And that way you can brush all of your 10 SS stones in there. Now, because these are so big and there's just a few of them, I would recommend cutting this at one time, and then going ahead and brushing all of your 10 SS stones in first, because if some fall into these bigger holes, you're going to automatically know it. So you get your tweezers and just pull them out of that hole, and then you would hand place these 20 SS stones in there, because there's not a whole lot of them. I mean, if it was linear all the way across, then I would say no, definitely do these little sprinkles, I guess they are, as a separate template. But this is using the ones, and I'll just go back and group this, from the Silhouette store. So you cannot resize it. And I don't know what happened to this one. It says I own it, and I'm sure I do. And I looked Rhinestone Holly Cupcake, and that didn't come up. But when you have, just take a look at them, and you'll see that you have different stone sizes. So different stone sizes just mean a little extra work, because you have to make sure that only the appropriate stone size is brushed into that hole, because if not, your transfer tape is not going to transfer it over. And so that's really what I wanted to show you is here, if I click on like this one, I know it's all the same size. I would love it if I could right click and say show properties. Well, it does tell me that. It says I need 163 of the 10 SS stones. So I already know how many stones I'm going to be needing for that. One thing you can do is you can add, by clicking this plus sign, you can, it says keywords, but you can still just work around that and use just separate words to add whatever description that you want in it. I'm going to just say cancel here. So that's a good thing. And I did that by clicking it, right clicking on it and saying, show me the properties. So this one told me, it's telling me the height, and it's 114 of these larger ones, 16 SS stones. And I have no idea what this, and 20 of some other size. You see, it doesn't go into much detail, and I can't click on it, the description, to get more of it. So I probably will hit the plus sign and add it there, because you're going to have to go back to the store if you are short on stones. If you have tons of stones, then it really doesn't matter to you how many stones it's going to take, because you've got several thousand on hand. The size is more important to you at that point. So that's using those, the ones from the Silhouette store. And I was telling you about in the earlier tutorial, in mixing the stone sizes for these letters to give your own special effect to it. This one, the message, this rhinestone design is a precise measurement and cannot be resized. And remove this text before you cut it. But what it's basically saying is, let me see if I can, this zoom in thing, I like it, but wow, does it zoom in. A bit too much, even for me. So what it's saying is, when you click on it, it says 0.160, that's going to be a 16 SS stone. And this one is probably going to be the 132. And if you look at the information I provided in the group, I tell you that a 10 SS stone, I believe I said, is anywhere from 0.129 to 0.133. And so anything in between that is going to fit in that hole. So I know that that's a 10, and I know that that was, so this one has got to be 210 for a 20. 212 is what they have. But a 210 would be the same. And that is the diameter around this hole or this circle. So this is a 16-inch, they have 20-inch, and they have 10-inch stones in it. So let me just now zoom out and try and give some color to it. And I'll go ahead and use red since the line color is red. But this just lets you know that you don't have to have all of your stones the same size with some of the letters that you might rhinestone from just the basic fonts that are installed on your system. You can do multiple size stones in there. It makes it a little more difficult because, again, trying to brush stones in, I probably would, if it were me with this, I would brush all of my smallest stones in. A lot of people like to do them last. I do mine first because if they're smaller, they're going to flop around in these other holes and I can take tweezers and move them out. And then I would just take my tweezers and just hand place these big 20-inch stones in there, because if I try to brush them in, they're probably going to knock some of my other ones out of the placement, the hole that they've already been placed in. But that's something that as you play around with it, you'll get your own system as to how you want to do it. So I'm showing you with from the store. This is with the letters. Let me undo a couple of things here to get us back to trying to get rid of that. So we'll go back to the library there. Let's see, I've done the multiple size on it. I think that this is an outline. And they come ungroup, and that's odd. So maybe this is my computer doing the crazy thing, and it should also have that same message on every one of them warning you not to resize these. But all of these are going to be a 10. And you see for them, for silhouette, it's saying as long as you have purchased a stone that is 0.132 inches around, it's going to fit in that hole. So that's the importance of that number. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And that's the store. You're either going to have multi-stones or you're going to have a same stone, but you definitely want to get a description and know that that's the size that you want, because as you go back to this store, just looking at these and clicking on it is not telling you here what size stones you're going to need. You will have to double click on it to get it to pop up and tell you this is the size of it. So it's 4.4 inches in height, and the furthest out is 10.6 inches across. So it's all the same size stones. You'll need 255 of them, of the 10SS, in order to make this look the way that it does. Now, let's see. I'm going to go back to the library and click on some of my rhinestone designs that I have purchased or gotten free over the years, and from other sources to show you how those work. And let's see if I can find some of the ones that are more troubling, I think, for those of you that are new. And maybe it is, let's look at this number one grandma, because my grandchildren have fooled me that that's what I am. So with this, I don't know why it changed my page. So you go back to page, and I don't know why it did that. That's just the craziest thing. It may not do that on yours. I hope that it doesn't. I don't know why this thing is acting so contrary. And that is fine. I want to get to this. Come down. There. Okay. So when this comes in, when you open this up, the worst thing you want to do is to click on a rhinestone, because if the place that you purchased it from has ungrouped them, when you click, you're going to be moving things out of the way. What you want to do is to try to click on this background, which is just a black triangle, and try to see will it move first. And you cannot resize it because you bought it knowing what the width and the height was. And so what you want to do now is right click and say ungroup. And sometimes with really, I'll say, responsible designers, they will just have it to where it allows you just to be able to move this black out of the way and see your image. But if you look closely at this, when I said ungroup, it has ungrouped every single stone in here. So be leery of that. Pay attention so you know that when you click off of it and drag this out of the way, you have loose stones here. So the first thing that I do is go back and highlight the whole thing, right click on it, and group it back together, so I can then move it wherever I need to according to where my sticky flock is that I'm going to cut it on. You can also color it as well, especially if you want to send it to someone. Now, I need to just step back for 1 minute with you all and explain that Silhouette Studios is very, what's the word I want to use? Protective of its features and its designs, which means that if you buy from the store, you'll be able to click over here on the advance and change the look from just circles to look more like a rhinestone. If you create it from scratch inside of Silhouette, meaning you went to Google, you found a baseball, you traced the baseball, and you rhinestone the baseball, you can use the rhinestone features. But if you did not do any of that and you bought a file outside of Silhouette Studios, the rhinestone features will not apply. So I hope I did a decent job in explaining it. It is only going to allow you to apply the rhinestone features to what was created in the Silhouette Studios environment. Buying an outside file, you're not going to be able to make it look, use the rhinestone features in it. Just not going to happen. Meaning you cannot change this to outline. You can't change this. It's going to ignore all of that. So now we have this. It's where we want it to be. I already see, and you do as well, you've got one size stones here, a second size stone, and then you have the smaller stones that are here. And even in this tail or this swoosh, you see there are some bigger stones and there are some smaller stones. And so if I go back a couple of steps to one more back to when it was ungroup, I think. Let's see. Nope, one more. Maybe there. Okay, so I guess I have to go back. I didn't know that I went that. There we go. Ooh. There. So what most people would do is click on each one of these stones that size and holding the shift key down and group them so that they could brush those stones in, and you would be layering them on your t-shirt. You would start out with whichever one, larger stone, or I start with the smaller stone, and I press them on my shirt first. Like when it got to this, what is this hashtag uh, emblem, I would do all the smaller ones, and then I would press them onto the shirt first, and then I would lay these larger ones there, and they should fit perfectly in there, and then press them onto it. That's what I'm saying to you with grandma, because you see all these different size stones. So make sure when you find the rhinestone image you like from a vendor, don't get caught up in the ooh and ah of how beautiful it is, and start looking at what kind of work am I going to have to do with this. Am I really going to want to select all of these stones? Am I going to want to brush in all of these smaller stones? And oh my God, it's almost the same amount of next bigger stones. I don't feel like using the tweezer or the little rhinestone tool to hand place all of these in there. So this might be one that I pass on, or I'm willing to pay maybe another $3 and contact the designer and say, can you make all of these the same size stone for me? That's just going to be up to you. These squares back here are basically your shirt, the garment, whatever it is, to show you what it's going to look like. So let me highlight these and hit delete, and I'm going to go back to the library because I want to my user files here, because I want to show you what it looks like when you have multiple layers. And I think this is going to be a good example right here. This camo heart. Let me zoom out. So when this come in, it's all there as one piece. So now I'm going to right click and say ungroup these two pieces, and I hope it doesn't ungroup every single little stone in it. And it did, of course. So I'm going to click off of it now, and there's the square around it. I'm going to move that square out of my way and highlight all of these and just group them. And this is like one layer, and I forgot it grouped all of this down here at the bottom. So I'm doing the same thing to it, and in essence, they took a shortcut, because most of the professional designers would have given you, if you just take a look at this, because what this is, let me try to place it on top, and you'll see, of course, my placement is not the best, that it's a camouflage heart. And you see I don't have all of this where they fit in perfectly. Maybe that's perfect. So a professional person, well, let me take that back. Usually you would have gotten one template for all your black. You would have gotten, and when I'm saying template, like we have the two squares in here, you would have had one square for all of your gray, for each one of these colors. So that would have been black, gray, this color, that's 3, that's 4. So you would have had 4 squares so that you can cut them out separately, brush your stones in, and then start layering. And you might layer all your black on your shirt and press it, and then come back and fill in all your gray, because everything is going to fit right in perfectly with it. But they chose to only do 2 of these. It really does not matter what color it is here if you're just doing this for yourself, because in essence, when you get ready to stone them, you can pour whatever color stones you want in these specific locations. You might want to, I don't know what color you would want to use with it. And the same for this one over here. You could put whatever, pour whatever color stones you want in there. But if you're doing it for a client, who does not want these particular colors, then it does matter. Then it gets a little more difficult in where you have to try to select them by color and then change the colors in it in order to do a mock-up on it. And we have some new features now that helps out a lot with it. And I think this one here, select by color, by fill, and you see these colors here. So I could select this color. Okay, so I selected this color, and let me bring this panel out here and say I want that color to be red. It did all of it. It was only supposed to turn this particular color here that I selected was the only color that it was supposed, and I have groups in there, so I don't know why it's even doing that. To be able to select it without having to ungroup and try to figure out how you can select these. And what I mean by that is I'll ungroup this, and trying to get in here is next to impossible without first grouping these. And even at that, I have to hope that I have all of them to clear my way to get in here, because trying to position this cursor just to get these, I'm grabbing some of the black that's in here. So I was excited when I saw that they now have this. So I don't know if I'm not oh, I see what it is. I don't have it on the mat. That's what's going on. Sorry about that background noise. I see what it is now. So I've selected it. Let me put it over here on the mat. And maybe now it will do what I need it to do. Maybe. So if I click here, yes. Now it has those colors, and I just want them green. And I will select my black. Now it's selecting the black, and I want that purple. So I'm able to make these color selections to show to my client, okay, if this is how you want yours to look. So I'm going to highlight all of it now that I've changed the color, and I'm going to group it and move it over to the side, and then move this one over on to the virtual mat and pick this color and ungroup it. Okay. And I'll pick this mauve color, and it only picked mauve, and say I want that to be orange, and it is. And now I want the gray to be this, I don't know, this crazy aqua color. And so I'm going to now group this, because I don't want to disturb them when I bring this part over here back in. So now I'm going to try and place these back, and I just created a new ammo color that made it a whole lot easier. So using select by color, make sure it's on the mat and it's ungrouped, and then follow that. Trying to go by line is not going to necessarily always work for you. You see the line only gives 2 colors, by fill gives you all of those colors. So that would be your way of changing those for a mock-up that you might do. So I'm just going to go ahead and group both of these, just to delete them, and go back to my library. I'm trying to find something that shows up completely black, and I may have fixed them already, but some of these will come where the black square is sitting on the top, and you're thinking that you don't have an image, a rhinestone template underneath it. I can't believe all of these cannot be. I can't take the credit for being this organized. I don't know. Someone sneaked in while I was sleeping and did it for me. But let me just find one and try and put the black on there, since it doesn't want to. I can't come up with one now. So let's take this. I was looking for something with multiple pieces in it. I guess this old snowman here will work. So I'll double click, let it snow, and let me move this out of the way. It's probably grouped together, and it is. So I'm going to do ungroup, and it has a lot of multiple stones in it. And let's see, and it ungrouped all of them. But sometimes when you get these, now I'm going to click on this, you see I can move it out of the way. Sometimes when you get them, they are on the top and everything is grouped together, and you think that you've gotten a black square and you're unhappy about it. Well, before you contact the vendor that you bought it from, do your ungroup thing and see if you can ungroup, or you'll have to ungroup it because 9 times out of 10 is coming grouped together. Ungroup it and then try and get that triangle is not always, I mean, this square is not always black, and just click send to the back. And when you do that, your image should pop up, and now you know you have your image. So, and I don't know why it does that, but it will open up in silhouette with the background sitting on top. So I can zoom out enough to, well, I'll just click select all and hit my delete key. Back to this library. Here's a good one. Here is a good example right here. This one for Diva, I think is going to be a good example. This is what I meant by 3 different panels there. And I can go ahead and close this because I'm not going to be able to do anything from Silhouette with these because I did not create them in Silhouette there from the outside. So Silhouette is not going to pay me any attention. So I have these here, and I'm going to, I wanted to ungroup. It doesn't give me that option, which is crazy. So I have to do release compound path, and that is going to release all of these individual little stones here, just as it did. And again, this is part of the person who created this, how they group this. This first one is all of the design, all on one template, meaning, let me just hit delete. I'm going to try and select all of these if it cooperates with me. Yes, it does. And I'll just make it red. And I need to make my line red. And usually it is, but for some reason, this one isn't showing it. So now everything is going to be red. And I'll select group to group it together so I don't have all these little things everywhere. So this is my one option if I wanted to cut it out all as one piece, and I'm just going to spend time figuring out whether I'm going to brush the smaller stones or the bigger stones, but it's all going to be one piece that's there, or I'm going to be hand placing stones. Here gives you the option to do multicolors on it. And we say that we're going to have the diva might be purple, and I'll make the lines style purple, and I'm going to group it together, and maybe your team colors are purple and gold. Okay, so it doesn't want tag right, so I'll just delete it. So now I'm going to highlight all of, I thought I was, how that stone got down there, I don't know. I don't know if you see, okay. Try it again. I think I have them all now. And well, actually, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to grab just, this is, oh, I'm crazy now. Okay, so I'm going to say that it is gold and black. So I'll make this black, that filled in is black. I'm going to group those. And I'm going to come at these from the bottom because I don't think I can group them without pulling in some of these. So I'm going to go from the bottom to here with this. And I'll make it this gold color. And I'll group it. And now I'll try and grab the rest of them, but I can hold the shift key down and just click on the gold since it was grouped together. And with this, I'll make a lighter shade of that purple, and I'll group it. And so this gives me an opportunity to actually cut it this way. So now I'm going to select all three of these and group them together. And let's see what my design looks like, because I'm going to place these right inside of this diva here. So now I'll hold the shift key down and grab the purple, group it, and this is all my one design. So let me bring this one over here so you compare the two, and let's zoom in. And not out, and let you take a look at it. You see the smaller stones here in the red? That's what the lavender stones are here. And this is just in putting the different colors, and coloring these templates is more for mock-ups. If you're not doing a mock-up, you don't even need to color it, other than maybe to color them by size so that you know that you need to, you're going to want to separate them when you cut them. Or just to, what I've done is taken a picture of it with my cell phone so I can look at my phone as I'm brushing in these stones to know which stone was what size with it. But that's how you layer them together. So if I was doing this, I would layer these, the black and the gold first, and this lavender, I would put it on my shirt and press it, and then I would take this, and I know that I need to make sure it's positioned so that the lavender stones do not touch the purple stones. And then I would press it on there, and then of course give one final press for all of it. You wouldn't be doing any layering by color if you went with one color stone, but you're going to more than likely layer by size of stone, unless you just, you know, have nothing but time to carefully position all your rhinestones, say here, and brush in here and be careful when you get close to here so they don't just roll into the larger holes. And then when you get ready to brush here, you know, you can just put you some there, maybe some over here, stones, and brush this way so that, and be careful here. You may want to hand place them so they don't knock these out of the way. And then likewise down here. And in that point, then you have all of your stones here. You don't need to layer. You can just use your hot fix transfer tape and press it on the stones and then lift it over to your shirt and press them all at one time. If you don't do it that way, that I just suggested that you do it, you're going to have a difficult time, because these stones will, when you start brushing, they start going all over the place and they'll knock these out of where you previously placed them. Excuse me. So let's see, what have I shown you in this one? I went to the store. I showed you about the store. I showed you about the rhinestones, come on, that are purchased from the store, how to know what your stone size is. And then I started putting some of my rhinestone templates in here under user. The only thing with it is you need to learn visually what stone sizes you're going to need, or somehow be way more organized than I am to be able to go back and say, oh, okay, I needed X number of rhinestones in this size. In other words, what I'm saying to you is, when you buy these from the vendor, if you don't take a screenshot of the image that has all that information about it, you might forget. With the rhinestones from the store, you can always go back to the store or right click on it for properties, and it'll tell you how many rhinestones you're going to need. And I'll see if I don't know what is going on with that, but I dare not talk about it. I'm going to come over to the internet now and show you what I mean by that. One of the places that I like to, well, I'll just use the Rhinestone World, for example. Not where I buy a lot of my rhinestones, but let's see. Let's click on some free designs, because they do have free rhinestone designs in here. So let's say this dollar sign, for example. So I'll click on it. And in specifications, it is letting me know what the height is, and it's telling me the stone count. Sometimes they say SS10 or 10SS. It's the same thing. 588. Number of cuts, it says you need to cut it twice. And it's suggesting it because you've got the colors that are in there. 2 different colors with it. But if you go ahead and add this free thing to your collection of rhinestone files, and you don't somehow attach this somewhere as a reference, you will forget maybe, you know, what the stone sizes are. Until you get more familiar with it, you'll be able to look at it and know a 10 from a 6 from a 16. But they will provide this information for you. I think that in another way, the person that I buy a lot of mine from is my friend that has this group, Rhinestone Fashion. And he has a sale like every 6 weeks where they're either 80% off or they're $3 a template. And I'm just scrolling through here on Facebook trying to find his last sale, because I want to go to his, there we go, to his Flickr account that has his gallery in there. Because I just want you to see that this, how he lets you know what the specs are on his. So say we like this lady here. If I click on it, it's letting me know the size. he's saying he has his separated by color, which I love. So he's saying for the brown, you need 209 size 6, black 64 size 6. He's basically letting you know there's a mixture of these in there. And he says he's letting you know for him, his size, SS6 or 6SS, is 0.98 inches. And his 10s are 0.13 or 130 inches. And that works perfectly for me. And remember, I explained to you all in that other one when I was clicking on each one and it said silhouette is 0.132 for their SS10. His is 0.130. Both will fit in the hole. One just fits a little more snug than the other one does. But these are the specs that you're looking for. So if you were buying this design, I strongly would recommend using your snipping tool and snip this, and I save it somewhere so you can at least kind of go back and forth. As a matter of fact, you can, now let me go back to silhouette, you can create a subfolder that says specs or specifications underneath Rhinestone, and you can drag and drop those PNG and JPEG images in there. So when you find something you like in Rhinestones, you'll be able to click on there and see what your specs are. I don't know what your organizational skills are. Mine are horrible. So I'm sort of talking hypocritically, but it's always my New Year's resolution that I'm going to be more organized. But without it, it's difficult to say. If you put them in the same folder as the Rhinestones, once they're in here, Silhouette does not tell you, oh, that is the cut file and that is just the preview image of it. And it can get confusing. So that's why I would say a sub one there. So I think I've covered all of them. My fonts and letters, I think, needs to be a separate one altogether. I've told you when they come on the top, you need to first try to ungroup and see if there's something on the bottom. It just happens like that. I've shown you. Let me see if I can get down here to the Rhinestone world. Some of these TRWs, they're very good about having all of these extra panels. And that's where I'm trying to get here. TRW. I guess I haven't put any in yet. That is weird that I've not done that. Well, as I own up to it, I'm not organized. And I have certainly put some JPEGs in here that I just told you not to. And you can see from there, just from that file name, that that's what they are. But I thought for sure I had TRW, some of their files in here. And I don't, but I think I'm still the Rhinestone, yes. I was at the free files, Rhinestone files for them. If I found something else, well, anyway, they will have several of those different panels, and they do a professional job, and they're going to have the black background for each one of these. And I was trying to find something with a lot of different colors on it. But like this one, they'll have one panel with Rhinestone and the diamond, and a separate panel with just the outline of the word rock that's in there. That's just how they do theirs. So you have to be real careful with some of them. If you get an image that has, say, 5 different colors on it, you could end up with 5 different panels, because that's how they do them. They cut one sticky flock sheet per part of the design, and then you layer everything on top. And for me, I'm frugal. I won't say cheap, but frugal. I just can't see using 5 sheets of sticky flock or 3 sheets of sticky flock for the Cinco de Mayo because it has green, white, and red, when I know I can put this all on 1 sheet of sticky flock. So I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want you all to pick up my bad habits. I am going to wrap this up now. And I'm going to come back later and go over fonts and letters because nothing really pops other than to put a phrase or something on a design that that we've created, and then to show in another one if if I can how to trace something that you find on the internet and stone it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one now. Let me click back over. And I don't see